Hey there, this is Michelle Pescosolido, and I am here reporting to you on day 8 of the video series that I've been doing for the past 8 days. And I am in my Patriots gear, not by choice. It's because of a bet that I lost, and I'm getting a little annoyed by these big sleeves and big shirts. But I have an empty chair here for a reason. I'm going to bring in a guest in a moment here to talk to you guys about something that's really big that's going on in this industry that we see a lot of people struggling with. And that is getting spousal support, getting them on board with what you're doing in your home-based business. So I want to tell you a little bit of my story, and then I'm going to bring my guest in to talk to you about his experience. So when I started in this industry, you know, I had went back to school and got a job working as a therapist for children with autism because I thought that, you know, in my particular circumstance and the situation that I was in, I thought, you know, this is the right thing to do. I need to go back and get a job, while it was against everything I believed in, because I wanted to raise my children differently than the way I was raised, meaning I wanted to be, if I chose to have children, I would want to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, through some course of events, I became a single mother, and I was no longer able to afford the luxury of staying home with my kids. So I went back to school, got a job, and was miserable, miserable, miserable. So that's when I made the decision to get into the network marketing industry and make a change, you know, make a change for better so I could be a stay-at-home mom, not rely on somebody else to raise my children. I was very passionate and very driven by that why. Now, when I did this, I, started out by just, going in a company that was a health and wellness at the time. And, I just dove into it with a very professional attitude. Now, I tell you this because if you are trying to talk to your spouse about making the decision to go in the home-based business, whether it be your wife or your husband, it's important that your actions that you portray are professional and that you are taking what you're doing very seriously, because the more you portray that to your significant other, the more that you are showing confidence in what you're doing, the more that they're going to be a little bit more likely to get on board. So I made this decision. I treated this like as a business I was opening up. I'm opening up my very own business. I'm the owner of this business, CEO of this business. I had to show up every day, and I had to work. I mean, that was my job. My company depended on it. And if I wasn't showing up each day, then the company was going to fail, or it was going to lack in performance. So I want to share with you a little bit. If Bill's going to come in here, that's my guest speaker. He's coming in right now with his Red Sox gear on. But I want to share with him, I was just telling everybody about how
What's up, everybody? Bill Pescosolido here, Frisco, Texas. Damn glad to meet you. How's it going?
Wow. I'm so going to have to edit that.
Why?
All right. So I was just telling them.
And
this is our dog that always barks during webinars. Okay, I don't have a lot of time, so we're at 3 minutes.
All right. What's up?
All right. So I was just telling them about how when I got into the industry, one of the things I was giving them tips on what's really important is, if you're going to do this, one of the things you do need to make sure that you're portraying to your significant other is this is something that you're very confident in, that, that you're treating it as a home, like as a business that you own, anything. Like it's just like anything. You were to go out and buy a business, a franchise. If you want your spouse on board, you've got to treat it like a business and be serious about it and portray, to them through your actions that you are taking this very seriously, so they see progress. So did you want to kind of talk about the things that you were thinking when I first started, and so people know?
You don't want to know what I was actually thinking when you first started.
All right, well, share with everybody, because I think it's real, that people need to know.
It's very real, and it's very significant. We hear so often about the spouse that doesn't have the support of their spouse.
You're shaking that, yeah.
The spouse that doesn't have the support of their other spouse, and that is just detrimental to their business. And it happens all the time. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. And I think that one way that, if you're a spouse right now looking to gain the support of your spouse for your home business, one of the things that you can do is make it more tangible for that person, for the spouse. So, we were talking earlier about, for example, you can lay out goals that you have, like real tangible financial goals that are going to help both of you out. For example, honey, when I build this large enough, this business, my first goal is to build it so that we're paying our car payment off. something like that, or
Yeah.
the cable bill. You know,
Right.
then you you have that first goal of paying the cable bill, making enough money
taking
from
that
your
vacation,
business.
the family vacation.
Well, but it's going to build. So
Yeah.
then the car payment. Then maybe it's enough money to pay the mortgage. But I think you see where I'm getting at. You're not just doing this hobby or this little thing. You're making it real and tangible for your spouse to understand. Look, this is going to benefit both of us. I mean, it's going to knock out the car payment, or we're going to get that vacation that we've been this long overdue as a result of my efforts. Another thing that you can do is incorporate them into it. Just like when your spouse comes home and you say, honey, how was your day? Share with them what you're doing. Hey, I got on this webinar tonight and here's what I learned. Here's something really cool that just happened and I wanted to share it with you. So make it more than just this network marketing thing that they're not going to do or you're going to keep from them. I mean, incorporate them into it. Involve them as much as you can. For example, if your company has an incentive trip, win that trip and invite your spouse. I mean, the best way to get your spouse on board is to win a free trip, through your company. Have the company pay for the trip, have you show up with your spouse, introduce them to the founders, other leaders. They're now sitting around the flagpole, sitting around the campfire, so to speak, immersing themselves just in the environment. And that's a great way to get them on board.
And I think he said something really good there that I want to point out again, that what I did in the beginning, instead of, even though I knew that he was a little hesitant on this and, thinking to himself, there's no way that we're going to just be able to do this from home. We're not going to have health insurance anymore. I mean, you think about all those things. And, one of the things that he said is that you are, that you talk to your spouse about the things that you want to accomplish. Like, instead of defending yourself, don't take the defensive mode of saying, oh, you just wait, I'm going to be so good at this, or honey, you just don't understand, or, you can't be defensive. You've got to understand that your spouse is probably not necessarily against you starting a home-based business, meaning they're not thinking to themselves like, oh, this is like this isn't going to work out. I mean, what they're more worried about is if it doesn't work out. So you've got to be able to ease those fears with your spouse and paint a picture like he was just describing here.
When it does work out.
Right, so let me say that again. They're probably more worried about it failing or you losing money. And so that's really what they're expressing to you. So if you can realize that and sympathize that those are real feelings you completely understand, but you want your spouse, your significant other, to really just support you and let you run with this because you've got the passion, you've got the vision, you've got the drive. And then, just let them know it's not going to affect, our situation. I didn't spend any of the income he was bringing in when I started out. I had $1 a day budget, and I think that's very important too, because this is a touchy situation. You don't want to, do things, give them ammunition to come back at you and say, well, you just spent all our money, this paycheck, this period, and it's all because of that business. I knew it. You don't want to give them a reason to throw it back at you. So I sacrificed. I used to go get lattes every day at Starbucks.
You did?
Yeah. I quit doing that, and I used that
such a sacrifice.
$4 or $5 a day to put into Facebook, or we cut certain things around the house that we didn't need, or I went and sold a bunch of things on Craigslist and eBay. I was creative.
You did. You sold stuff.
I was very creative in my way of getting money to start gaining respect from him and gaining some confidence. And then another thing that, one of these books that I'm listening to right now says that if you're in this industry and you're brand new and you've just been presented the opportunity, you just jump in it, don't come home with your excitement and try to explain it to your spouse because you are not trained to do it yet. Your best bet is to actually bring your significant other to a meeting or at least get them around the group that you are impressed with, that you're confident in, and then you're knowing that you're going to start, moving forward with. If they won't go to a meeting, talk to your upline about just maybe meeting for lunch or dinner because you're...
Or invite them to a webinar.
Right. I mean,
get them on a call.
They just need to know that we're real. We're real people. I know you had thought I was dealing with snake oil salesmen,
I did. I hated it at first. So here's another thing, though. Celebrate the small victories, with your spouse. It doesn't have to be about zero and then we get to like $10,000 a month. I mean, there's a lot in between. There's a lot of small victories that you can celebrate. For example, honey, I generated 7 leads today online.
Well, that may mean nothing to them.
But it's something, you know.
Yeah.
Honey, I did whatever and earned $100, you know, and then remind them. Say you go out to dinner. Hey, honey, by the way, tonight's dinner is on me. That $100 I made paid for our dinner tonight.
Yeah.
You sort of apply it into real terms for them, and it'll become more tangible for the spouse. Again, assuming that you have a spouse that's like, I don't get it, what are you doing, all that kind of stuff. Make it tangible, tie them in, and force them to relate it to now your everyday life, your everyday expenses. And so now they start to say, gosh, well yeah, you're going to earn another $100, awesome, or generate another 20 leads, great. And they'll see what it actually means and the momentum that can create. And I think that'll be a huge help for you.
Yeah, and I think that also we have to address that, you know, the person who's in the home-based business that has the non-supportive spouse right now, two things. I mean, one, if your spouse is just completely, it's causing conflicts in your marriage in the beginning and they're just completely against it. I mean, use some of these strategies we're talking about, but you also have to look outside of this. How is your marriage, I mean, a healthy marriage? I mean, I don't want to get into all that, but, you know, I just want to make the point that, I mean, your spouse should be supportive in anything that you do typically. And I know that doesn't always happen, so I don't want you to take that the wrong way. That's why we're giving you some of these tips. But the second one is you've got to have the mindset. You have to, if the person who's in the home-based business, your why has got to drive you. Mine was to be a stay-at-home mom for these kids again and to get him out of his corporate America job so he could hang out with me, you know, on Fridays at one of our favorite sushi restaurants. You know, instead of him having to sneak out of work to do that, you know, I wanted to make him proud. So that was my driving force and my why. And so I want to tell you that you do need to be very clear on that in the beginning to really get through these types of obstacles. So, I mean, that's all I have. I hope this helped. There's so many other things I know that we could discuss, you know, scenarios that we had that have come up, but we just want to kind of give you an overview and a start on where to start with if you have a spouse that's just not supportive.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
It works for me. You know, again, the big thing that it was when Michelle started talking to me about when she said, I want to, you know, bring you home. You know, I want to make enough money so that you can quit your corporate America job and do this with me. From not just so not like I'm retired. It's not like I sit here and play golf all day long and do nothing and she does all the work. We work this together now. But she was going to be the vehicle to make it happen that I could just quit corporate America. So when she started putting it into those terms, my perspective changed. I was like, wait a second. She
doing actually, this for you.
Yeah, she actually could be successful at this enough so that I get to quit corporate America and also now work from home. Yeah. Well, that started, I now had a vested interest. You know, I was like, come on, honey, let's get it done. You know, let's make this happen. It became a lot more cooler for me and a lot more real. And so, obviously, at that point, I was supporting her.
And no doubt, it's sometimes hard to believe. Really, you're going to be able to get me out of my corporate America job. I understand. It's hard to believe, but that's where it goes back to what Bill was saying. You celebrate the little successes along the way. Right.
Little victories will add up over time into, hopefully, the big ultimate victory.
All right. So this was day 8. Hope you enjoyed my guest speaker. And I'm sure, aren't you proud?
I'm very proud. She's been a trooper with this bet, wearing all my Patriots clothing.
I know. All right. Well, we are almost out of time. I hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you on day 9. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.